Hi everyone, Cobweb Rose here, and today I'm bringing you part 2 of my places I was most surprised by when I thru hiked the AT in 2023. So today is part 2 of my favorite man-made places, shelters, trail towns, amazing trail angels, or spots that I found that were definitely man-made but were really cool along the trail. So buckle up, we are going from New York to Maine with this one. So the first place that I was surprised by that I really loved on trail was Unionville, New York at mile marker 1349. Now this is a trail town that's a little bit off the trail, but when you get there, they allow free camping in the park for hikers as long as you register with the place that's right in front of the playground with the porta-johns that's across the way from the ice cream place, which has fantastic sofas, good ice cream, and air conditioning, guys, which is great if you're in New York in the summertime. And it also has this beautiful old general store with a deli in it, and you can totally resupply there. So it was a great stop off trail, a place to cool off, enjoy ourselves. Yes, we did use the playground even though we're adults, but it was a lot of fun and it was a great stop. Another place I loved in New York was the Warwick Drive-In Theater. This is at mile marker 1366. You get there by taking the Warwick Turnpike, which is before the town of Warwick. Now, this you guys may or may not have heard of before on your research of the trail, and it's a beautiful little drive-in theater that allows AT thru hikers to camp for $15 on their slope on the side of the drive-in. And for an extra, I think it's $5, you can rent a radio so that you too can enjoy your movie watching experience. They still, just like they did in the old days, have the big screens where they project the movies, and you can just pick whichever movie you want to watch and tune to that movie on the radio that you rent. Now, when I was here, unfortunately, I had a really bad migraine and actually didn't end up watching a movie at all, but the guys in my family did, and they said, just as a fair warning, you might have a hard time seeing the image from how far back the thru hikers are camping, and you might have a difficult time with hearing it on your radio. So just a little FYI, but it is a super fun experience, and there's a grocery store within walking distance and some restaurants within walking distance, so 10 out of 10 recommend a stop in at the Warwick Drive-In. Now, one place that I had never heard of before I started thru hiking the AT is the Greymore Spiritual Life Center in New York. It's at mile marker 1415. Now, this place doesn't sound like much, but it's right off the trail, and the religious community here has been allowing thru hikers to camp for free on their baseball field since the 70s. It's a huge location that has plenty of campsites, so you don't have to worry about being last into the party. They also have a cold water outdoor shower, a place you can charge your devices, and a covered picnic area, as well as water from a water spigot. And it's just a really great place to camp, and it was such a nice surprise. If you guys want to meet family to hike in New York, they can park their vehicle on this property because that's what my uncle did when he came and hiked with us, but it's a really great place, and it's so generous of the Greymore Spiritual Life Center to allow thru hikers to stay on their property like that for so many years. So if you guys do choose to stay, it also has porta-johns, then please be respectful of their property. Something that I found that was just a man-made item that was kind of random but also really cool was the Phone of the Wind in New York. This is roughly at mile marker 1427, and it's literally just a stand that you find right before you get onto a road that you road walk for a little bit on the AT, and it's an old school looking telephone, and the cutout on the board basically says that if you're missing someone who has passed on in this life, that you should be able to pick up the phone and hear the whispers of their voice. So if that's something that you guys believe in, then that's definitely worth picking up that phone. And even if you don't, it's a really cool experience, and it's so thoughtful that someone thought to put that there as a special experience for someone to have along the trail. Now, just past the Phone of the Wind in New York is the Canopus Lake Beach Shelter at mile marker 1429. Now, this thing is quite a ways off trail. I think it's like 0.6, but it opens up onto a public beach on a lake, and it's not super busy, and the staff that works at the beach will put out cold water for hikers. There's a little store there. There's a little deli, small, where you can get some food, and there's also public bathrooms that they leave unlocked for the hikers overnight, as well as an outdoor shower. And then if you go a little farther past that to the side, following the map to get to the actual shelter itself, it's a beautiful brand new shelter. I think it was built either last year or the year before, and it's got a big open field where you can camp, and MC was very happy when he found a resin chair on the inside of the shelter, a place he could relax. So it's a beautiful shelter, and I really enjoyed my stay there. Another shelter that's super cool is the RPA Shelter in New York. It's at mile marker 1434. So if you decide not to stay at Canopus Lake, definitely stop in at the RPH. It's literally right on the trail. This shelter has some very interesting interior decorating, aka the mannequin legs coming out of the ceiling. It also has bunks on the inside, a covered picnic area, and a little porch where people can sit and chat. It's got camping around the shelter, is right next to a water source, and the privy is absolutely hilarious. This was the only privy I ever found a doormat, a flush handle, which by the way is a joke if you guys don't know, and some paintings. And if you open the lid of the privy, it had a no diving sign on the inside of the privy lid. So it was quite a funny shelter, and it was a super cool stop, especially because it was raining the day that we went through. Now, another trail town, if you will, that I really enjoyed is Pawling, New York. You have to thumb it to get there or call a taxi, but Pawling is a great little town that's very hiker friendly. They allow you to camp for free in the Edward R. Murrow Park on the outskirts of town. They used to have charging ports at that pavilion. You can charge your devices in the bathroom now because unfortunately with all the flooding last year, the charging pavilion actually kind of got washed away. And it's about a 0.1 or 0.2 walk into town, but you've got laundry, great restaurants, ice cream, and it's just a charming little town. And then there's a couple of stores where you can resupply. So, and if you want to get into New York City, guys, Pawling is your stop. They have a train station right in the middle of town, and you can purchase a fairly cheap ticket to get in and out of New York City if you want to go. This is mile marker 1452. Another really cool shelter that we found on the AT was the Upper Goose Pond Cabin in Massachusetts. It's mile marker 1555. Now, if you guys have heard of Upper Goose Pond, you know that it's this beautiful double-decker red cabin that's right on this pristine lake. And they have canoes that you can take out. You can go swimming in this lake. 10 out of 10 recommend that. They've got fire pits. They've got privies. They have an indoor loft where hikers can stay in bunks, although it is not air conditioned or heated. So if you're there during the summertime, it may actually be too hot for you to stay up there with like 12 other hikers, but that's an option. They also have tent pads and overflow tenting space on the property. And as an added bonus, the caretakers in the morning make a pancake breakfast. They only ask for donations from the thru hikers so that they can continue to get their pancake mix and coffee to continue serving thru hikers. So it's an absolutely fantastic place to take an on-trail Zero or Nero, or to just hang out for a few hours. But it's a gorgeous spot, and I definitely think that it's worth the side trail to get there. Another amazing human is the northern counterpart of the Southern Cookie Lady. It's the Northern Cookie Lady, aka Ruth, and she lives in Massachusetts at mile marker 1566. She's right off the trail, guys, and her place is totally worth a stop. It's actually known as Blueberry Hill on the Appalachian Trail. She has a little booth up at the road where you can purchase souvenirs if you would like to support Ruth, or if you go back and see her, she has cookies on her porch. And what I heard was amazing hibiscus lemonade, but I didn't get to try any because she was out by the time we got there. And she also lets you do work for stay or work for food. We arrived a little too late to do the work for food option, but if you pick blueberries for her, she will oftentimes make lunch or even dinner for thru hikers. And then she's got some really cool spots to stay on her property if you ask. Please be respectful, guys, because she's an amazing lady and an amazing trail angel, and we want her to love and welcome hikers for years and years to come. But she is such a great surprise, and just stop in and see her. It's amazing. It's a great experience. So another really cool spot that I knew nothing about before I started the trail was the Father Tom Campsite in Cheshire, Massachusetts. Now this is a 12 tent or mix of tent and hammock maximum stay at this beautiful campsite in the middle of Cheshire, Massachusetts at mile marker 1585. It's run by volunteers. It has a little hiker box. It has an outdoor spigot where you can either kind of do a little cat bath or fill up your water. And it's just a great little spot. They've got privacy fences around it. So it's really just through hikers who are staying here. And it's in a great spot because there's not a lot of stealth camping before or after it. So if you guys happen to be in the area of Cheshire, Massachusetts, and it's about time to set up camp, definitely check out the Father Tom Campsite in the middle of town. The trail runs directly by it. You can't miss it. Another great trail town that you'll find that I was really surprised by because I'd never heard of it before is Bennington, Vermont at mile marker 1618. This place is about a 6-mile hitch down the road, but the Catamount Inn is a fantastic place to stay. It's right on the outskirts of town. The owner is super hiker friendly, does your laundry for I think like $5 if you want him to, and he will shuttle you back to trail for free. And he's super accommodating when we stayed there for a couple of nights. And Bennington is just a really cute trail town. It's got great restaurants, it's got a Dollar General, and it's got a trail fest every year, and they're volunteers who staff this trail fest, and they're so generous. They will take you around town, they'll shuttle you to the Walmart, they'll give you a little history tour, and they'll make sure that you get back up to trail in the morning. So definitely worth a stop. And also it's the home of the famous Blue Bend Diner, which, oh my goodness, their food is so good. And if you were there for Trail Fest last year, you know that they actually offered a free breakfast as trail magic to through hikers, as well as had free camping on the property. So it's definitely worth a stop in, especially if you know you're gonna be passing through on their trail festival weekend. It's a beautiful little place. Now, if you guys are more worried about heights and would like a sturdier fire tower to climb, the Straton Mountain Fire Tower in Vermont is your spot. It's at mile marker 1644, and it has a beautiful view from the top, as well as a little caretaker's cabin at the bottom. And as an added bonus, it's in the middle of this beautiful alpine forest in Vermont, and it's just a very pretty place to stop in. Manchester Center, Vermont is another one of those really cool trail towns that you never really hear about. It's a really quick hitch from the highway because let me tell you what, Vermonters are fantastic trail angels at pulling over when you stick that thumb out, at least in our experience they were. And this is at mile marker 1658. Now, if you stop in here, they've got great food, they've got a really cool vibe, they've got an outfitter, and the VFW in town lets through hikers camp on their property for free, and they have a portage on there, guys. It is such a win. Another really cool spot that I found in Vermont was the Clearand and Gorge suspension bridge. And this is a very tall, very skinny suspension bridge over this deep, beautiful gorge in Vermont. It's at mile marker 1690. And it's just such a cool spot to find in the middle of the woods, this really tall suspension bridge over this beautiful gorge. And it's just, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And I guess if you don't like heights, you probably wouldn't enjoy it as much, but it's a great location. Now, another cool shelter that you guys will come across when you're in Vermont is the Lookout Shelter at mile marker 1725. Now, this is a cabin that is privately owned, but they allow through hikers to stay on the property. It's a double-decker, completely enclosed, has a fireplace, and best of all, it has this rooftop observation platform that you reach by ladder. It's got a beautiful view up there. If you guys are into cowboy camping, that would totally be a spot to do it. But it's just a great little place to stop in and see, even if you're not staying there. It is worth the side trail to get up there. Another cool trail town that I knew about, but definitely wasn't, like, I guess I was surprised that it was such a nifty place because I was just expecting it to be busy and overstimulating, and I didn't feel that it was. And that's Handover, New Hampshire at mile marker 1755. As soon as you guys finish up Vermont and cross into New Hampshire, you're gonna walk through the town of Hanover. This is where Dartmouth College is located, and there are just amenities galore. Fabulous restaurants, ice cream, if you guys love ice cream like I do, bubble tea. There's a movie theater if you want to stop in and see something, and there's plenty of places that you can resupply. And if you don't mind being gawked at by people who don't realize the AT walks directly through the middle of Hanover, it's a really cool place. If you're not feeling the crowd vibes, just pop on through there as fast as you can, but it's a really cool stop, and we definitely spent some time there when we went through. Another cool fire tower, if you guys are into that, is the Smarts Mountain Fire Tower in New Hampshire. This is at mile marker 1778. This is actually at the top of your first really big New Hampshire climb before you get to the Whites, and it's got a beautiful 360 view as well as a privy up at the top. I know somebody who cowboy camped up there and really was happy that he did. So if you guys are into that, check this place out. Now, another really cool shelter that you do have to blue blaze uphill for is the Hexic Shelter with its famous Pentaprivy, the second, because it is the second incarnation, in New Hampshire at mile marker 1783. This is exactly how it sounds, a 6-sided shelter with a 5-sided privy. We didn't stay here, but I had to go up and see it when we were passing through because this is the only shelter you'll find of this particular design on trail. And it's beautiful, and it's such a cool stop. And the privy was absolutely hilarious. Everything was pentagon shaped, and it had a little doorbell on the inside of the door where it would be completely more than useless. And it was just a really cool stop. 10 out of 10 recommend. Another beautiful little trail town that we came across on trail that I was actually surprised by, primarily because I grew up going to this place and never knew the AT was so close by. And that's Lincoln, New Hampshire at mile marker 1824. If you guys are staying at the Notch Hostel, you can ride a bike about a mile, or it might be 2 miles, to get into the town of Lincoln, New Hampshire. It's kind of a tourist town, but they've got a place to resupply, they've got a movie theater, they've got a lot of outfitters, not necessarily hiking specific though. So if you're looking for something specific, you may want to just ship it there. Your best bet is the Lahoots that's near the Chinese restaurant. It's also got one of my favorite mini golf courses of all time, the Hobo Railroad. Definitely check that out if you're feeling the mini golf vibes. But Lincoln's just a really cool town, and it was a lot of fun for us to stop in there while we were staying at the Notch Hostel. The next place I'm going to tell you about, you really only stop in here to go to the privy, and I'll tell you why. It's the Piaza Rock Lean-To in Maine, and it is the home of the famous Your Move privy. Now, this privy will surprise you even if you know that it's there, because it is a 2-seater privy. You heard me correctly, a 2-seater privy with a cribbage board between the thrones. Even if you're not planning on pooping with a friend, literally, and potentially playing some cribbage with a friend while you both poop, it's a really fun privy just to find in the middle of Maine. This is a mile marker 1978 for those of you who are feeling extra adventurous. Now, a really cool place that you'll find in Maine is Harrison's Pierce Pond Camp. It's run by a guy named Tim, and he charges you, I think it's $12 for a massive pancake breakfast. He's off of Blue Blaze around mile marker 2042. Incidentally, if you don't want to do a water ford right after the Pierce Pond Shelter, you can go down towards Harrison's Pierce Pond Camps, and he's built a beautiful little bridge to get across that section of trail, and it links right back up to the AT on the other side, and pretty much the only thing you skip is that one water ford. Now, Harrison's Pierce Pond Camp has been serving breakfast to hikers, and I'm talking a stack of 12 blueberry pancakes with syrup, coffee, tea, sausage, bacon, eggs, and it's delicious for years, and the owner is just amazing. You can also stay at the cabins if they've got availability, but just remember you do have to go the night before to sign up so he knows how many hikers to expect, but it's 10 out of 10 worth it, and it was such a great surprise to find in the middle of the Maine wilderness. Another really cool spot that you'll stumble across literally directly on trail is a plane crash in the 100-mile wilderness in Maine. It's at mile marker 2103 plus, because it's not directly marked on far out, so it's in that area. And like I said, you won't miss it. It's a bright red plane. This plane crash actually happened back in, I think, the 80s, and the father and son that were involved in the crash both survived, so it's not a site of tragedy, it's just a site of curiosity now. And it's really cool because you can walk among the wreckage as much as you want, and it's just a really awesome spot to see, especially knowing that there wasn't any death that happened there, unlike some of the other plane crashes that you can find along the trail. But the last one I'm going to tell you about in this video is Antlers Campsite in the 100-mile wilderness in Maine. It's at mile marker 2145, and this is a beautifully laid out massive campsite campsite with a crib. It's got paths lined with stones. It's got lots of tree cover, lots of flat places to camp, and it's right on a lake. It's a really, really beautiful campsite. And even though my family didn't stay there when we went through, it was a great stop in, especially because we needed to hang a bunch of clotheslines to dry our stuff at. But it's a beautiful spot. 10 out of 10 recommend that you check it out or stay there if you happen to be at that point in your day. So those are all of my favorite surprises that were man-made along the AT from New York to Maine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any surprising spots in that section of the AT, or really anything north of Pennsylvania where my last video left off, please comment them in the comment section below. Any questions, feel free to ask. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and as always, happy trails.